I think this mentality is really different and maybe even a little more controversial, especially in the beginning, to think about a product first mindset as opposed to a wallet mindset.
Malware is a non-technical look at the tech news of the week.
This is a podcast where we learn together about everything from crypto to AI to whatever comes next in tech. I'm Natasha Hoskins.
I'm Dina Burke.
And this is Boys Club.
Wait, is it just Boys Club?
It's just Boys Club.
The Boys Club podcast?
No. Just Boys Club.
We have Asta Li, the CTO and co-founder of Privy, which is privacy first authentication for Web3. Asta is a software engineer. I was snooping on your bio here, and you previously were at Uber and Aurora, which is basically like self-driving car technology. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. At Privy, I saw a stat 7.5 million users have come through the Privy doors at some point or another, have onboarded.
But yeah.
More. That's crazy. That's insane scale that
we pray for here at Crypto.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about what Privy is, but just to name check a few of your partners here. Privy powers the login flows for OpenSea, Zora, DYDX, Blackbird, Receipts, so many of the cool guys in crypto. So really excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
We want to start with talking about, there's this big conversation right now around, and there has been since honestly I started working in crypto, around onboarding. There's so much over-indexing, I think, around infrastructure conversations. And obviously we at Boys Club and a lot of the people who listen to this podcast think a lot about consumer applications and how real people are going to use this technology. Tell us a little bit about how that relates to the work that you do at Privy.
Yeah. I think there's a few parts of that I'll break down, but one of them is definitely that onboarding piece. And I think infrastructure and onboarding sort of design and technology go hand in hand to enable these amazing products that just could have never existed before. So I think the infra advances that we've seen, whether it's in L2s or smart accounts or embedded wallets, they go hand in hand with design and with, I think, the creativity that comes with being able to come up with new consumer experiences and things like that. I've seen this like explosion of consumer applications that it just wasn't the case, 3 years ago that things looked like this. So I think we have been a part of a wave that's continuing to grow. I got into this space because I wanted to work on privacy and digital identity, and really, really cool stuff is happening around that in Web3. The decentralized identity stuff is powering why people are able to put your driver's licenses on mobile devices. And those advances in digital identity are also driven by what people are thinking about in the crypto space. This is like a nascent industry where people care about privacy in a big way. People care about ownership and about privacy in ways that are ahead of the curve. And so if I want to make a difference here, this is the space I'm going to build in. And so this is a long way of saying, like, this is why I care about crypto onboarding, because I think when you onboard folks to crypto, you change the way people think about who actually owns your data, who actually owns your money. So that's like kind of my worldview that brings me to here. So those are like a bunch of different threads on how I think about the massive picture around onboarding into the space.
You're speaking to the opportunity around Web3 and identity, but I think for a lot of people who aren't fluent in the space, that keeps them out. And so talk to us about how Privy's solving for that and like how it makes it easier for these dApps to solve for login. Tell us a little bit about how it works.
Yeah, Privy is the onboarding product that makes sure everybody can access products built on crypto rails. And that's built on a few different components. One is login, where users can log in with an account that's familiar to them, for example, an email or social login or even a wallet. And through that login, unlock the entire functionality of the Web3 space and products built on this infra. The core part of that is key management infrastructure, which is that once you have authenticated, once you have logged in with, say, your email, Privy builds key management infrastructure so that you have access to your own cryptographic keys. And those are the basis for a wallet that you can use to interact with various blockchains and anything else that you need a crypto wallet to be able to do. And that's embedded into the product that you're trying to use. And that's why we call it embedded wallets. And there's a story around like all the different names that we we thought about using that weren't embedded wallets when we finally landed on embedded wallets. But we call it embedded wallets because it's an account, it's a wallet that you own that's deeply embedded with a product experience. And I think this mentality is really different and maybe even a little more controversial, especially in the beginning, to think about a product first mindset as opposed to a wallet mindset. And this wallet is like embedded into a product as opposed to a user having to figure out what a wallet is, onboard onto it, and then bring it to a product. And so I think the fact that we're really thinking about onboarding from a product first mindset is one of the things that's like really, really special.
So I have what is potentially a dumb question. Is that the same thing as account abstraction, or is that a different thing?
Account abstraction basically makes account logic programmable by putting it on chain via a smart contract. And it lets you do some really cool things. It changes how you sign for things. It lets an application pay for gas on behalf of users and lets you batch transactions. And it adds like a ton of programmable functionality to your on-chain account. And so a lot of folks use Privy in conjunction with account abstraction in order to provision these smart contract wallets for their users, where there's a smart contract that's defining the on-chain account, and there's Privy, which serves as the onboarding flow and the signer for the smart contract wallet. So with Privy, you log in with your email, or maybe you log in with Twitter or whatever account is familiar to your users, and the cryptographic key that's provisioned to the user is the signer on a smart contract account. And then that smart contract account is like what owns assets and what makes transfers.
I'd love to zoom out a little bit and get your perspective on the debate, which I see taking place every once in a while on the timeline, which is around this idea of, and I don't know if it's exactly related to account abstraction, but it's basically the idea that there are some people that think that crypto should be fully abstracted away into the stack, and that we'll get to a point where people don't even know they're using crypto, and that's an ideal state because it's just about then at that point building great products that people love to use, and if crypto enables it, that's great. And so that's kind of one side of the debate. And then the other side are people who think that no, it's actually really important that people understand when they're setting up a self-custodial wallet, how that is really different than their other wallet experiences or traditional banking, and that we shouldn't abstract that difference away because it's honestly a little bit irresponsible, because those people will then be engaging with this thing thinking it's something that it isn't, where self-custody actually has a tremendous amount of responsibility that you need to understand in order to be able to use it safely. And so I'm wondering sort of where you sit between the two.
Yeah, I think both camps are right at the end of the day. I think the majority of people will onboard to digital ownership without even knowing it. In the future, in 5 years, they won't know that they have wallets. And in fact, right now, if you download, one of our customers is Blackbird, if you download the Blackbird app, it's not in your face. You don't know that you now own a crypto wallet. And I think those experiences are going to be the majority of what consumer products that are built on crypto rails end up looking like, because they're familiar, they're easy to use. At the same time, I think that self-custody and specifically account ownership is the reason why I'm here, and is the reason why a lot of us are really excited about the ecosystem and the kinds of products that can be built. And in fact, some of these products like don't get to exist in the way that they do without this core notion of self-custody. And so I think it's less of like an either or and more like, what kinds of products are you trying to build? And is self-custody where it's front and center and something that a user needs to understand? For instance, if they're taking this wallet with them into many other places, they have to understand the security implications. They have to know not to engage with malicious products or things like that. That's a different type of product, and that's a different experience, maybe for a different user set. So I think it's like both are going to be important at the end of the day, and we're not going to have crypto without both.
Yeah. I think just to like play devil's advocate a bit, because I actually don't, hearing you talk about sort of both sides, I'm like, I actually think I agree and I see the value of both. But I think just to sort of push on a little bit what the worst case scenario would be for someone like a Blackbird. I don't know exactly how their app works, but you could see a scenario where if there's some wallet and token experience that's built into that app, and there's some accident or there's some malicious bad actor that where the tokens get drained or you whatever, there's so many different things that can happen that would like make you lose access to your tokens, or you accidentally send tokens elsewhere, and like that there's no one to call to change that. And like we all know that because we're here, but for someone who is coming in through one of these more consumer apps that are designed explicitly to have the crypto be abstracted away, there's some risk in that for those users who don't fully understand like the world in which they're operating. And so I think like that gives me a little bit of pause when I'm thinking about that side of it.
Yeah, I think that part of it is about what type of product is being built and the rails that are set around it. So I think a lot of gaming experiences where you are dropped into a game and you just want to get started and play, the fact that there is a wallet is secondary to the fact that you're having fun. And also the items that you're receiving in the game, they're, I think, scoped to that game and valuable in that context. And bringing in the friction of educating the user about, I think, relative nuance of like, this is an on-chain item or an on-chain asset compared to any typical gaming experience is friction that might take away from that initial gameplay. So I think that there's like a trade-off there where you're like, well, I kind of just want to focus on the game, and I'll get compounding value out of playing this game as a secondary benefit. And that's different than something that's like there to track your retirement account. The user experience and security features and et cetera, and like safety rails around what is needed at that scale would look really different. And I think that the problem comes when people try to equate the two. They say like a crypto wallet is a crypto wallet, but actually people are trying to use crypto wallets in a massive variety of ways. And it's about customizing the experience and building rails for the specific experience.
That's interesting. I feel like what I'm hearing from you is that there's a responsibility on the designer of the product, or in this example, the designer of the game, or whatever it may be, to think about the digital assets that your consumer is engaging with, and what level of responsibility is it for the designer of the game or the product designer to have an understanding of how much that consumer needs to be educated on what those assets are. And that's as people are integrating Privy, like thinking about how that all works, which makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's one part education, one part configuration.
I want to end with a fun question. What are some of your favorite products that you're seeing in this space right now?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. I've been really excited about Zora's new consumer app launch. I think it's really fun from just a human point of view, but it's also really interesting technically in terms of what's going on under the hood. And one thing I'll highlight there is that it's a mobile app. And if you think about where consumers are all on mobile. They're predominantly on mobile, and that's how they're accessing the internet these days. But crypto is not really on mobile. We all flirted with PWAs for a while, and I think there's still some really cool projects being built on PWAs, but PWAs do have technical disadvantages compared to native mobile apps. And I'm really excited to continue to support this wave of mobile apps that are going to be super consumer centric and meet those users where they are on mobile. So that's like a very exciting technical trend for me. I'm also excited about a lot of games that are, and gaming collaborations, whether this is Proof of Play's Pirate Nation or B3 and Basement, the idea of being able to play crypto games based on crypto infra or have these in-game assets on crypto that you can then take with you into another game. It's so cool. And then there's other products like, I think Courtyard has been a product that I've been really excited from the very beginning. So what they let you do is they let you vault physical trading cards and then be able to take digital transactions on what were previously physical goods that you had to like ship across the country every single time you wanted to send it to somebody. And this represents a very exciting use case of crypto, which is digitizing physical assets and being able to take the incredible benefits of digital goods and apply them to things that previously couldn't benefit, with things like real estate, things like art, things like trading cards or other physical goods. So having that like lightning speed transaction, having fractionalization, like all that stuff is really exciting to me too.
I'm going to start selling my kids Pokemon cards. Asta, thank you so much. This is so interesting and just appreciate your insight so much. And yeah, we're a huge fan of the Privy team.
Thanks for coming on.
For sure. Thank you.